Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Comeback Sports Podcast. I'm your host, AJ, and this is Season 3, Episode 4. We got a jam-packed filled episode as usual. Joining me today is my good friend, Roshon. How's it going, Roshon? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, man. Yo, feeling great, dog. Ready to get on with the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. I mean, for those of you who don't know Roshon, he is a former teammate of mine. We ran on club running in college for a season. And then he went off and kind of had bigger things in store for him. We're going to talk about that. So first off, what are you doing these days, man? Outside of track.
Yeah, outside of track. So I just got this corporate job, man, working at Land O'Lakes, which those of you who don't know Land O'Lakes, it's mainly they're known for the dairy and milk and butter and stuff like that, but they're actually really bigger than that. They actually have this company called Purina, if you know of it. It's like the dog and cat food. That's what a lot of people know it of. But forget about that. We don't own that. We own everything else you can think of animal-wise. So I'm talking about horse feed. I mean, they feed alligator. Anything you can think of animal-wise, we probably got it, and they feed it.
Hey, man, did you read that off the corporate website?
Nah, man, that's all on top of here, man. I'm really blessed to be able to have that job.
We're going to talk about track and field. As I mentioned,
Yes,
Roshon is a former teammate of mine. We both ran mid-distance together. And believe it or not, for those of you who don't know him, he actually ran in the Olympic trials this summer. I mean, big kudos to you. And to kind of start things off, can you summarize your journey from when you first started running mid-distance in high school up to the trials?
Yeah. So yeah, in high school, I kind of started off. I was an 800 runner, but then I wasn't the best at it. So they're like, "Oh, why don't you go up to the mile? You get the body frame of a miler." And I did that, and then I was like, "This is not for me." And so my freshman year of high school, actually, I was in Arizona, and then I moved to Minnesota. And so in high school, then afterwards in Minnesota, I kind of dabbled a little bit into 800, but mainly, I guess you can call my focus was more on the 400. And then from there, I went on to college, and I thought, I'll be able to kind of go into college. I call up a couple coaches. I can make some things happen. I'll be able to join a team my first year, no problem. Obviously, that didn't happen. I mean, with my times that happened in high school, I was only a 49 second 400 runner. I was a 159 800 runner. I mean, now a whole lot of Division I coaches look at that and be like, this is our guy. They're not saying all that. So just so I wasn't able to do that. Luckily, I got approached by AJ Ortega over at the state gym, which for those of you who don't know that, I went to Iowa State, and state gym is one of 2 recreational facilities that Iowa State has. And so I was running that day, and AJ's just like, "Hey, why don't you join the run club?" And I was thinking I want to be able to run with some other people, and I need some meets to be able to get to. So I was like, why not? So from there, I got back into the 800. AJ was actually my coach, and then throughout the whole run club experience, I didn't run too many 800s, but then at nationals, I had a big breakthrough in the 4x8 and split a 154. And with that, I was able to take that and go talk to the coaches one more time. And then with that, I think that was I was able to get onto the track team, be able to try out. And then, yeah, I guess you can say the rest was history after that. Improved my 800 time from 159 to 146, made it to Olympic trials my senior year. And yeah.
Yeah, man. I always love hearing that story. I'm sure people tell you, wow, man, that's such a great, humble story, but it's just watching you progress throughout the 1 year we were together as teammates. It was just great. You're just a great dude to be around. Not only you're fast, but you're just a good all-around teammate that, always wanted the best for everybody. So I appreciated that, having you as a teammate. As we were talking, he made it to Olympic trials in his senior year of college. What was it like? First off, when did you make the standard, and what is the standard for those who don't know what it is for the 800?
I want to clarify some things. So for one, I actually didn't hit the standard.
Oh.
So the standard in the 800 is a 145.2. They get the Olympic standard to be able to go on to the Olympics. And then for the Olympic trial standard is a 146.0, I believe. And so, but there's a rule though. So let's say that the Olympic trials committee doesn't have enough athletes in an event. And then the event committee people can look at the event and be like, okay, let's add in some extra people to be able to fill out the entire event number that they can hold to see if they could be able to pop something off over at the Olympic trials. And so using an 800, there's 32 athletes that are allowed to be in the 800 at the Olympic trials. And so I think only like maybe 16 the actual Olympic trial standard. And so because of that, I was like the 20th athlete on the list. And luckily enough, the Olympic event committee was able to get me into the meet, and I was super grateful for them. And so the actual meet itself, though, man, it was it was one heck of an experience. Like you go over there, the whole process of getting like your lanyard and then getting your bib and getting your credentials, like that whole experience itself was just like mind-boggling to me. Be able to see all the different athletes out there, the ones you see on TV too, like the Ryan Krauses of the world, like the Sidney McLaughlin's, Dalil Muhammad, Grant Holloway, Fred Curley. I was like right next to Fred Curley when he was getting ready for the Olympic trials. Like I was just seeing him train, and it was like it was a crazy experience. Like I really enjoyed every second of it. And then yeah, so my heat of the 800, I had Clayton Murphy, which those of you who don't know, he's an Olympic bronze medalist in the 2016 Olympics. So it was cool to be able to have him in the heat. And I didn't know, like, he was a real talkative person, honestly. Like, he was talking to a lot of people over there. He even talked to me. I was like, dang, this guy really talking to me? Like, I'm kind of a nobody in this situation, but it was pretty cool for him to be able to talk to me and whatnot. And so, yeah, my whole experience as a whole, it was really great. Like, the town was involved. Everybody was really, like, knowledgeable on track too in the city. Like, they had streets blocked off all around the stadium. They had food trucks. They had windows painted. Like it was a whole big experience. So I really enjoyed my time over there in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh yeah, and you got to run in the brand new track too, which was so cool. When it was, I remember back then they were like, "Oh, this is like the renderings of the track." I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then when it actually comes to life, it's just like mind-boggling. It's like very similar to like an actual like football stadium. So it's just so cool that the track world got that recognition from that new stadium.
Yeah, yeah. Like literally, when you walk in there, my first reaction was just wow. Like like I'm first of all, I'm really here. That's number one, and
Yeah.
number two, it's like they really built this like a track. They like only for track. Like there's no soccer games happening. I mean, I don't know, maybe because that's soccer game, but no, the way the facility laid out, you ain't having no soccer games there. Like this is strictly for track. There's no football, no nothing. Like this is strictly for track. So it was crazy to see, and I know Phil Knight, the old Nike CEO, was like he wanted a European style stadium to go into the US, and so hey, he did that. Like that stadium's huge, it's big. The little details too that you see on the stadium. So like for example, like now it's kind of weird, but like when you walk into the bathroom, they have all the medals from the Rio Olympic Games in the bathroom, like on the
Oh
floor.
wow.
And
Oh.
yeah, like the gold, the silver, the bronze, like they have all that in there. And obviously, University of Oregon is rich when it comes to track and field, and so they really like to dedicate the athletes who've done really well at the program. So you can see them all throughout the stadium. I'm talking about the Jenna Prandini, Edward Cheserek, who else we got? Raven Rogers. Those are more the recent ones. I
Mhm.
gotta do some more study on the ones from the past, but I mean, there's tons of athletes that came through the University of Oregon, and they did a really good job. I feel like trying highlighting them and putting them into the stadium as well.
Oh yeah, people forget like Nike was founded in Oregon, and the greats such as Steve Prefontaine were the kind of like not the co-founder, but kind of the first ambassadors of Nike. And then it just goes down the line. You get Matthew Centrowitz Sr. that was at Oregon, and then the other Centrowitz, Junior, he comes in. It just goes all the way. Like Galen Rupp, it
Galen
never
Rupp.
stops. It's just it's kind of like think of it for those of you not familiar with this. Think of it as like Clemson and Alabama, and that is as the track world in college track running is. You go to Oregon and you're going to get recognized.
Yeah, no, it's truly incredible, and like I guess to go more into like the stadium too. So actually, underneath like the stands, right? They have a whole, I think it's 140 meters long straightaway underneath the track. So like when you
Oh
go
wow.
in, they call you event up. You sit outside in this tent, and they take you underneath the stadium where they're like there's a 140-meter, 150-meter like long straightaway where you can do your warm up at before you even get onto the actual track and be able to do your race. So that was really cool because you're able, if it's like, let's say it's rainy and all this other stuff that's happening outside, you at least have that indoor period where you can kind of warm up, get ready, and then you go on to the track. As well, they have a full shot put area, full pole vault runway, and underneath the stadium too. Like they really, man, the architects, like clap to them, man, because they really did a really great job of putting everything together for that stadium and all the different designs and all the different structures that are involved. Like it's really cool. Like they did a good job with it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the return on that stadium is going to pay off, and for sure. So you get to meet Clay Murphy, and it's so cool to see that he's actually a real talkative guy. Because he grew up throughout the years. When I saw him at Rio, he's still kind of a kid at the time. He was 21, straight out of college. I think he was 21, 22. Then I got to see him perform at the Olympics this month, and he does seem actually kind of talk real confident now that he has a medal in his house. And I'm glad to see that he didn't let it get to him, and he's still a pretty cool dude to hang out with. Did you outside of the Olympic trials, when you're at Iowa State, or any meet outside of college, did you get to meet any other runners? I know you probably ran into Bryce Hopewell a couple times when he was at Kansas.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, me and Bryce Hopwell, I love talking to the guy. I talk to him at the Olympic trials. Sometimes I kind of talk to him on social media, and because he's real humble. Like he's not a guy who's gonna brag about, oh yeah, I did this, I did that. Like he's not the type of guy. He's real humble, real cool kid. Like, yeah, he just like he would be a great friend. Like honestly, just because like the way he carries himself, like he's real humble and everything. And so I guess other people like professional wise, I kind of talk to outside like I guess the track meet. One was like Donovan Brazier. I was able to get a picture with him. I ran against him over at ASU,
I
and
saw
we
that
ran a
meet.
144. Yeah, he kicked my butt in that meet, but hey, that's what happens when you're like a
You
freshman coming
PR'd
out.
that meet. You PR'd
Yeah, I
that meet.
PR'd. That was my
There you
first
go.
time running 150 and the 800. So yeah, no, that was dope because I was just like I seen the guy literally last year run a 143, break the collegiate record, which was held for I think it was 25 years, something like that. It was one of the longer records in the record book, and then he just smashed it like it was nothing. And then yeah, when I seen him the next year with his whole brand new Nike kit, I was like, oh man, I gotta go get this guy. So I was able to talk to him afterwards and get a pic with him too. So that was pretty cool because they could really just deny that. You'd be like, nah, no pictures, no pictures. Like I just got done racing, like, but
Mhm.
nah, he was really cool to be able to talk to afterwards. And then Marco Arup, I used to talk to him all the time over at track meets and at the track meet. So I think he's a really cool guy, kind of guy too. Just real talkative, real cool. Like I said, he's kind of like that Bryce Hopple, that humbleness. Like he doesn't talk a whole lot. Like he lets his legs do the talking. I really respect those guys because we got a lot of guys who like to talk all the time, but then they're not able to back it up. Like, oh, I could easily beat this guy, on the
Mhm.
track. It's super easy. And it's like, all right, buddy, go on the track and do it. And they go on the track and either get last place or they don't do as well as they should. So it's just like, be able to see those guys who are kind of humble, keep their head down, they just grind, and go out there and race to the best of their ability. I like those type of guys. And Bryce Hopple, Marco Arup, those guys represent that. And you see all the hard work they put in, and look what they're doing now with Adidas, and they're making world championship finals and making an Olympics. So
Oh yeah, I'm glad to hear that about Bryce. Yeah, you see like these guys come out of college or into the professional level, and Donovan Brazier is a real good example of this, where you got these guys that are so versatile. I think Brazier's even ran the 1500. And then you got Emmanuel Career, who just won the gold medal for the 800. He can run a fast 400. After you left club, and then you went to run at Iowa State on the actual varsity team, kind of what did you feel your training focused the most, like the aerobic, or the anaerobic side of the track?
I'll definitely say more aerobic, just because like for me, I was like a 400 kind of guy, as you already know too. I'm more of a 400 guy, so I don't really have that like distance, strength, endurance background. And so that was the one thing I needed to focus on a lot when I joined the varsity team. Because like when you go against some of these guys in college, like these guys are able to run like close to 4 minute miles. At least I'm talking about more like I guess you can say elite guys. I know there's some people who are 1500 runners who can run 4 minute miles, but they may not be the best of the eight because they don't got the speed. But like if you're trying to go to like let's say the national meet, right? You're going against guys who could probably run 4 flat in a mile, but then also can come back and run probably a 46 split in a 4x4. So I was like, okay, I can run a 46 split in a 4x4, but I can't run no 4 minute mile. And so it was just like I had to kind of work on that a little bit. And that's like after like running in the run club, I was able to work a lot on that and be able to gain that endurance. And so I was able to run some really good thousands, actually. I wasn't a big miler guy. I didn't really like the mile. Definitely focus on 1,000 a whole lot more, just because like you need to run a little bit over distance. So like when it comes to the 800, it doesn't feel as bad when you're trying to run fast. It's still gonna hurt. As I say, 800 is a man's race. You're not walking out there alive. Like your hamstring gonna be hurting, your butt gonna be hurting, your arms gonna be hurting, everything gonna be hurting. So it's yeah. So really, a lot of events I focused on after when I started training with the on varsity team was aerobic stuff, getting to 1,000, uh, bumping up my mileage. I was starting to do like 50 miles a week at the most. I think there was like I remember there was one week where, man, I had like 4 double runs in one week. Like I'm talking about the 6 and 6, 5 and 5, 4 and
Wow.
4. Like that week was rough. I'll tell you that week was rough, but it was necessary though because like it built up this strength and this base in me that when it came to actually running in the season, I was like I was able to run fast at times. I didn't feel as tired when it came down to when I needed to make that kick the last 150 meters, which allowed me to run the times I was able to run in college. So not I think that training was definitely necessary. It was what I needed, and so that's why I was able to have the success I had in college is because of that training.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you're already real good at one part of the race, why not work on your weaknesses so you can cover your entire base? Who'd you work with the most? Did you work with Coach Smith or Coach Jeremy or someone else?
Yeah, so I work with Coach Jeremy a lot. He's the middle distance coach. Smith is more of well, Coach Smith is more like the long distance coach, so he focuses more on the 10K, 5K guys, and then and 3K steeplers. So Jeremy, Coach Jeremy, he was my coach. Man, that guy is a guru. Like he'll get in your face. He ain't afraid to tell you that you did a bad job, but that's sometimes what you need, though. You don't want a coach that is always going to tell you what he wants you to hear. You need a coach to be able to say, hey, this wasn't a good race. This is not a good race, but how can we look at it now? Break down the video, talk about where you made the mistakes, and how can we improve it at the next race? And that's what you're gonna get with this coach. And so that's the reason why I really enjoyed being with him and be able to stick through the next 5 years with him because. I mean, shoot, he got me to running 146 when I was a 159 guy, coming out of high school. So just like, be able to say that and be able to do that, like, why shouldn't I stick with the guy? Like he's helped me out a whole lot. So I really enjoyed his training and being underneath him.
Yeah, I like Jeremy. I actually met him when I was running laps in the cross country course. He's a cool dude. I checked up on you, and yeah, he seemed pretty nice. It's nice to know that he is, because to me, he did seem pretty smart, well knowledge. So I'm hearing it from you just definitely solidified my thought. Did you have a favorite workout that you would like to do, whether you're training in college or for the trials?
Yeah. So for me, it was like the 250, 350 workout. I enjoyed it, but also like um, it was kind of like it was a love hate relationship, I guess you can call it, because that was like the one workout coach always wanted us to do. He'd be like, okay, today 250, 350. Like you can literally guess it. Like today is the 250, 350 day. But I liked it because like it was simple. I knew what I was gonna be doing, and I knew what kind of the paces he wanted as well. And then sometimes he wouldn't like it though. If I want to speed up, I can speed up a little bit. He'd be like, Rashad, I want you to keep at this pace. Don't go any faster. And I'll still do it. And he'd be like, you know what, whatever. Just keep going on with the workout. So but yeah, so that's one of my favorite workouts. And then also too, shoot, what other workouts were you able to do? Oh, I'll definitely say we got these repeat 400s. And
Mhm.
so we do like maybe I don't know, 8 400s. And then we would have to do it like usually like around 60-second pace, and then maybe we can cut it down to like 56. But I really enjoyed those workouts too. Those are kind of like my two favorite workouts I got from Jeremy.
Okay, so like the 400 repeats were kind of more at kind of like a mile pace. If it was like your mile race pace, essentially,
Yeah, but it would
maybe a
be
little
less
faster.
rest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. How much rest were
Yeah,
you getting?
like a minute.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's about what I guess. I've done something like that. It's usually around a minute. Sometimes it's two. It just depends on the day.
Mhm.
So did Jeremy train you for the trials as well? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Did you guys have to do a different kind of workout plan to prepare? If so, kind of how long was the plan when you started on it?
yeah. Yeah, definitely. So really, like the plan was like, so for those of you who don't know, or obviously you know, last year we had COVID, 2020
Mhm.
happened, right? Everything got shut down, the country got shut down. So that was supposed to be my last year, and so luckily I was able to get an opportunity to come back the next year. The NCAA said that all senior athletes would get the outdoor season back, and so when I sat down with coach, I told him, hey, if I'm coming back, I want to go for it all. I want to go to the Olympic trials. I want to be able to run well there. I want to be able to, you know, represent myself and see where it goes. And so we sat down, we came up with a plan, literally from like March or April, to be able to say, okay, by the time Olympic trials come around, we're gonna have you ready. And so really the whole year was planning towards Olympic trials. We put it on the calendar. We had a regular scheduled meets, the indoor, the outdoor meet, the NCAA meet, but then we also, put down the Olympic trials because we knew, at least for some of us seniors, and then if one of our other athletes that were around, like if they're able to qualify as well, like my ex roommate Jason, he qualified for the event as well. So if we were able to go, like we were also going to train for that. I wanted to be prepared for that, and so the whole season was geared towards doing that. So some of the workouts we did had to be a little bit faster. Some of the workouts we did had to be kind of boring, honestly, where we had to do repeat thousands at super slow paces, 3 minutes, or slower, because we had to build up that endurance and build that traction on our feet. And so, yeah, so a lot of the workouts, like I did, well, there's this one workout we did, which was like a broken down 800. So I've done some similar to that before in the past, but it was only like 50-50, where it was like a 50-50 drill where you do that for like 2 laps on the outdoor track. This time it was different. We did it indoors, and then we did 400 at 800-meter pace, 30 seconds rest, had to do a 200 at 800-meter pace, and then 30 seconds rest, I had to do another 200. And so that was tough because
Mhm.
like I never had ever done a workout like that before in my life. Like it was tough, it was hard, and before we even did all that, I had to do the 250 350 drill. It was supposed to be at 60-second pace, but you know me, I was able to go faster, so I ran a little bit faster than I was supposed to, and then I had to do that on top of that. So it's like you do that 800-meter breakdown, but first you gotta come in there with like a little bit of okay, a little bit breathing a little bit, just so you can get your body warm too. You're gonna be having to do like a couple miles beforehand, do your little drills or whatever you do for your warm before you get into the race too. So that's what we kind of did. And so yeah, that was a really tough workout. And so we kind of incorporated more 800-meter pace workouts is what I'm kind of getting at here.
Mhm.
Because if I really want to get better at the 8, I got to be comfortable going out at 51, 50 point, 52. And so I had to do workouts geared towards being able to be comfortable doing those type of workouts. So going at like a 600-meter or 500-meter at that 51-second pace, or maybe even a little bit slower. Like, yeah, again, focus more on being comfortable at the 800-meter pace.
Yeah. One question I did just kind of think of is, was there like a certain race strategy you always use, or did it always vary by the competition?
So it varies. So, well, I guess there was one race strategy I always liked doing. Is one was being in the front. The reason why I always like going to the front. Some people say, "Oh, why would you do that? Like that's stupid. You can be in the front and you don't have no one to pace off of." Well, for me, I'm 6'4". I'm a tall brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I got long legs. If you see me run, I got some gazelle legs. You know what I'm saying? Like my legs are long. So it's just like with that, if I'm inside the pack, I have a tendency to trip. And trust me, there's been plenty of times where I got tripped in the race and I got pissed off. I tripped at the national meet one time, 2019. I was in the prelims. I was feeling, I was feeling good. I was ready for that kick. I was about to roll up on. Well, I mean, anything could happen in the last 150. But in my sense, I thought I was going to be rolling up on the dude from Air Force. But lo and behold, dude from behind, he came up on me and I got tripped. So it was just like, stuff like that can happen. So my race strategy a lot of times was to go to the front so I can avoid that traffic and be able to dictate the race and go at the pace that I want to be able to go at. So, and that's the reason why I had those strategies. But sometimes when it comes to prelims, right, you obviously don't want to just like go all out and then die and then not be have nothing for the final. So sometimes I kind of back off. And then if someone decides to go out like 52, 51, I'll kind of back off on the pace a little bit, let him go have his fun. Cause I know by the time like it's a 200 meters or 150 meters to go, I'm gonna be right there with him because he's gonna slowly come back to me, and I can just finish the race and qualify for the next round.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to prelims and semis, I think a strategy I would go in is just making sure I'm in a comfortable position where I don't put myself in danger. And it sounds like you kind of have that thought process on that part of the trials. I was going to say, when you're not getting tripped by another runner, do you ever get into like running slumps where you just can't really perform for a long period of time, let's say like a few weeks or a month? And if so, kind of how do you and your coaching staff kind of get out of it?
Yeah, so I would say 2018, really after indoor season, real I guess not I shouldn't say indoor season, really after like Drake Relay had a running slump and I wasn't performing well. I got to the Big 12 meet, I just did really well at the Drake Relays. I think I split like I think it was a 147 or something like that, 148, and a relay split. I was feeling good, but then I got to the Big 12 and I couldn't even break. I ran 149 in the prelims, but then I couldn't even break that time in the finals. I ran slower. Then came down to the West Regionals. I couldn't get any faster than that either. Like I couldn't even break 150. Like I had a race slump, and then so next year, like luckily I had another year eligibility. I went back to my coach and we kind of reevaluated what happened towards the end of the year and realized, I was burnt out. For me, I really like to grind. I really like to work hard. But sometimes you can't just keep pounding, 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 pounding. At some point, you gotta realize your body needs rest. And so that's what me and my coach recognized. And so that next year, we made sure to kind of back off a little bit when it came to training in the fall, so I could be able to survive that period when it came down to that outdoor season. Now, did it kind of take away a little bit from my indoor season? Yeah, but I like outdoor season anyways. That's my that's my favorite time of the year. So when it came to outdoor season, oh, I was ready to go, baby. I was ready to go. So that's one thing that we kind of recognize. Now this year, if you kept up with me, I did really well. I guess you say indoor season. I ran some PRs in the 1,000. I broke 220, which quite frankly, I didn't know I was gonna be able to do that. That was pretty cool. And then I ran an 800. I kind of ran an indoor PR on that. And so, but then it came outdoor season. I got into a little bit of a slump. I ran pretty good actually at Oregon. Ran another 147, but then I couldn't go back and break that time. So I think for me, I think it was kind of one of those things again where I kind of got back to I tried that I worked too hard and tried to outwork my slump. And because I tried to do that, it put me in a deeper slump. And so I guess my advice to athletes that are out there that are trying to be good at the 800, working hard is great, working hard is good, but read your body. Understand that, you don't have to put in 20 hours, I'd say like 40 hours a week, training, to be able to understand that your body, okay, if you're going out there working out and you got another like weightlifting activity right afterwards, like maybe not go so fast on the run this time. You recognize your body's really tired, let your coach know, communicate to your coach, like, because you only person who understands the body the most is you. You understand when your body needs rest. You understand when your body's not feeling well. So make sure to communicate that to your coach and be able to come up with a plan to where you don't push it as much these days. Because if you don't, then you're gonna end up in a situation where you're like me, where you start getting burnt out towards the end of the season. Because track season's long. Every college person knows you start in January, and if you get good enough, your season doesn't end until June. And then if you get even better than that, then your season probably ain't gonna end until August because you're doing summer track. So it's like you're doing 8 months here training and racing. Like that's a long time. And then you only get like what 2 or 3 weeks off. Then it's like boom, you can't go out too long. So then you're right back at it again. So it's like be able to understand what your body's going through, and getting that necessary rest. I think is my advice to athletes. So you don't end up in a situation where you're like me, where you try to train too hard, and then you don't leave anything left for that last period where you really want to shine in the big meets.
Great. You literally took the words out of my mouth. I've had friends where they're coaching, it, they look so great in the indoor, but then when outdoor comes, they just don't live up to the expectations. And my rule of thumb is when you make a plan, train for your final meet. Like you got to have phases and you got to make sure you don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be burnt out before your goal pace at your final meet. So I'm glad we're kind of in the same boat on that. You go into some tips about kind of reading your body and then communicating your frustration with your coach regarding your performance. Do you have any tips on kind of how to avoid injuries for that kind of these mid-distance runners that maybe are worried about being injured or possibly are very injury prone?
Yeah, definitely. I say for one, communicate, communicate, communicate. gotta communicate with your coach, because if you don't do that, your coach is gonna put you in workouts and situations where he thinks you're gonna be okay at, but knowing you and knowing your body, you get into that workout, then you're gonna get injured. And so luckily I was blessed to where I didn't really have too many injuries, at least serious injuries that took me out of meets or anything of that sorts. But I had a couple of nicks and bruises here where I had Achilles injury. And so well, I guess it was a long lasting kind of Achilles injury, but I kind of ran through it. But the reason I was able to ran through it because I was able to communicate to my coach. I said, hey, my Achilles is feeling terrible today. Like, can I go over and talk to the trainer real quick? He's like, yeah, we talked about it. I talked to him about the areas of where I was hurting. We go talk to the trainers, and I figured out it was like I had tendonitis in my Achilles. And so only way you can treat that is really by one, either resting it, or two, kind of icing it and just doing treatment on it. And so what I figured out was the reason why I was having tendonitis in my Achilles was because of my calves. And so being able to have, like, if I didn't communicate that to my coach and try to just gut it out because I felt like, oh, my coach is getting mad at me because I got like an injury. No, like, your coach wants to be able to see you succeed. So if you don't tell him about your injuries, tell him about like what you're injury prone to, then he can't come up with a plan to help you succeed and not be able to get you injured in the future. And so good example of that too is, so one of my good friends and former teammate, when he first joined Iowa State, he made sure the first thing he did was make sure to let coach know, like, hey, I had a hamstring injury. I had a bad hamstring injury not too long ago, and because he communicated that to the coach, he made sure that when it came to workouts and weightlifting activities, we made sure to focus on that hamstring a whole lot. So when it came down to, okay, did you feel anything like in your hamstring? Like, he made sure to communicate to him how his hamstring was feeling and make sure he didn't push it too hard to the point where he was going to have that injury again. Because at the end of the day, it's a mentality thing. So if you feel like the injury is going to be, if you feel like you're not able to run faster, it's because mentally you're probably thinking it in the back of your head that, oh, I don't want to get injured. I don't want to injure my hamstring, especially when it comes to hamstrings. That's like every athlete knows, especially in track and field. You get the hamstring injury, it is mentally hard to get out of that injury because you're just thinking in the back of your head like, oh, I don't want to injure this again. I don't want to like push it too hard to the point where it's going to pull again. So be able to communicate that with your coach, and if you have a strength and conditioning coach, communicate with that coach as well to be able to come up with a plan to be able to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Oh yeah, I feel in the hamstring injury. I actually pulled my hamstring on an 800 race in college, and when you think you're okay, when you use your hamstring muscle, it's usually when you're going full speed. You would be afraid to go full speed after that injury mentally because like, oh, I feel good now, but I don't know how good I am until I go full speed. What if I go full speed and then I strain it again? But yeah, you're right to a T. You got to communicate the injuries. And believe it or not, injuries, yeah, as you've experienced it with your Achilles, injuries lead to other injuries because there's compensation involved with the previous injury that lead to the other one, and it's just an ongoing cycle. I mean, I can tell you from my experience, I'm currently nursing a quad strain right now. Actually, it's not a strain; it's actually a rupture. I ruptured one of my quad tendons, and what led to that was I didn't fully recover my current knee injury I had at the time. And your tendons are connected in so many places you don't even know. And probably not from fully recovering that first injury led to this injury right now. And now I got to go, I'm at PT right now, and I got to focus on lots of flexibility. So a lot of stretching and just kind of working my way back up to where I can get back to running. But yep, you got to listen to your bodies. You said earlier, and just make sure everything is recovered fully before you go out 100%.
Hey, that's key right there, man. That's major key. If y'all listening, write that down. I'm telling you, like, just because you think you're okay doesn't mean you are okay. Trainers will tell you that all the time. People are like, nah, man, I'm all good. Like, I'm bouncy. They get out there and race and they get injured again because, like, subconsciously they know, oh, if I go full speed, that can happen. But then when you think that, it's like, I think of it this way. If you think negative thoughts, negative things can happen, or will happen to you. If you think positively, positive thoughts will happen. And so that's why I say, like, make sure you go into a race fully mentally prepared. Like, okay, I know my hamstring's fully healed, and then just get healed like one day ago. Like, it's been healed for a while, and everything I'm doing makes sense to where the next time you go into the race, you don't have that negative thought in your mind. So where you go into the race, you'll be able to possibly say, okay, I know I can go out there and run as fast as I can. Because that hamstring injury, man, that was light years ago. I don't even got to worry about that no more. We Gucci now. So just make sure you communicate with your coaches, your trainers, and then know for yourself, just because you don't feel it for one day, give it an extra week, give it an extra 2 weeks. It's not going to hurt. I promise you. Like, I don't understand you want to get out there and race, but no, take the time to make sure you're fully healed, because you don't want to have that to be a domino effect for a whole nother injury, because a hamstring connects to your hip. So if your hamstring ain't right, your hips ain't right, everything else ain't right. So just like, don't let to get back on the track ruin, let's sit you out longer than you already have.
Exactly. And then you bring a good point. If you're recovered for so long, you eventually build that confidence that you need to kind of run at your best. If you're confident in your overall mental health and your physical health with your injury history, then you're at a good position to kind of race pretty well. We talk about how we need to make sure that we listen to our coaches, and we also communicate with our coaches. So, okay, let's put you in a situation. Roshon, I just hired you to be a high school coach. First thing you have to do is answer this question. You have Billy, who's a 400 runner, and then you got Johnny, who's a miler, but you need someone in the 800. Who are you picking and why?
In that situation, I'm probably going to pick the miler.
Really?
Just because he will have the strength to be able to get through the 800. Now, if I was going to train, if you phrase the question a little differently and say, if you, at the beginning of the season, you have this 400 runner or a 1500 meter runner, who are you going to pick to like go run 800 later on in the season? I'll probably pick the 400 runner, because he kind of has that speed to be able to go out at that pace. Now he's going to be able to build up his strength, which I feel like in my sense, it's easier to build up a strength in the 800 than it is to build up speed in the miler, because it takes a whole lot longer. It takes these different type of workouts, and sometimes when it comes to a miler, it takes a lot longer. With strength, it doesn't take as long to build up a little bit of strength. You just got to make sure to have a really good base, and once you get that base and you get the speed to be able to back up that base, it's a whole lot easier to run the 800. It's easier to be able to go out that pace and be able to hang on a little bit longer. A race ain't easy, I'll give you that, but but I think in my stance, I'll go with that. But to answer your question, I'll go with the 1500 meter runner, because he just got that base on him to be able to keep running, man. He'd be able to keep chugging.
That's good. That's some good points. In that situation where it's like, it's the day of the race, yeah, I would put the 1500 meter runner. And if it was beginning of the season and they're going to be racing this race, I would get the 400 runner. The 1500 runner, it'd be safe at the moment because he has the foundation to kind of not get, he's probably not as injury prone. If you go from 4 to 8, you don't know what's going to happen. But
Right.
The reason I want to change the 400 runner to be the 800 runner is because they have higher ceilings, in my opinion, than a milers. Because believe it or not, for those you don't know, the 800 is literally kind of just a long distance sprint, in my opinion. I think the calculations like 60% anaerobic and 40% aerobic. You need to have good endurance, but you need a hell of a kick if you want to be a really good 800 runner.
Yeah, because I mean, I look at it today. Where's the 800 meters headed? When David Rudisha came out, right, and he started running his times and eventually breaking the world record, he didn't break that world record running 48-second splits in a 4x4, running 48-second open in the 400, like a 44 if you wanted to on a 4x4. So it's just like, and then ever since then, you start seeing these runners be able to run a 45-second open or 46, like Emmanuel Correa, the one who just won the Olympic gold. I mean, he can run a 44 open, in a 400. Like, and he has the ability to probably go out there and run like a 358 mile. He just hasn't ran it because he's just that good at the 400. So just like, I think the 800 is there's a transition period where we thought the miler can go down to the 8, and that was like the way we need to go. But then now we're starting to realize, these 400 runners who aren't the best at running the 400 can't make these U.S. teams or can't make the national championship. Like, these guys have the potential to be able to run it really well in 800 because it's easier, faster to be able to build that base in a 400 meter run, to build that strength, to be able to finish that last 200 meters than it is to be able to generate speed when it comes to the 1500 meter guy, because there's a lot more that goes into getting fast twitch muscles in a person. And so I think that shift we're seeing, as you just mentioned, a long distance sprint. Like for me, yeah, it's just a long sprint. Like there's a reason why like people ask me like, oh, is it a dash? Like yeah, I mean it's pretty much like a dash. Like it's able to be a dash because like guys are going out. 40. I've seen guys go out 48 seconds in the 400, 49. Those are the pros, of course. Like even in college though, they're going out 50 point. 51 seconds when it comes to like the 400. It's like that's where the race is headed. So either you gotta get on board with that, or you gotta find a whole nother event. So
You're absolutely right. I recall back in the day, the 800, the typical 800 runner was like Dave Waddle. Remember him?
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, he looked like a distance guy who just went to the 8. Now
yeah.
nowadays they're bulky. I mean, even you. I remember when I met you in your freshman year, up to years down later, you bulked up. You actually gained some muscle, and that's what you're supposed to do because the 800 runners they're muscular guys now. Like one example I can think of is did you ever meet Isaiah Jewett from USC? He's bulky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, so like that's another example. Yeah, you got to be really you have that strength, but you still need that endurance, of course, because it is long distance sprint. But yeah, you're right. The direction it's going is that you got to have some top speed if you want to be competitive.
see that's another reason why I say the 800 is one of the hardest events. Is because of the way you have to structure your body. Nowadays, like guys, you got to be a little bit bulkier, but then again, you can't be too bulky. With a little bit of fat if you're like a 400 or a 200 meter runner, because that's an extra fast twitch muscle you're gonna have, an extra muscle that's gonna get you be able to finish that race. If you're a 1500 meter guy, obviously you got to be a little bit skinnier. You're gonna need all that muscle because you're doing a little bit longer event. The 800s are in between. You gotta be able to have the same strength as the 400 meter runner muscle wise, but then you gotta be as lean as a 1500 meter rider. So the area that you need to have in terms of like body fat is way slimmer than I feel like that a 1500 meter runner will have. Then yeah, look at the eating habits that you're in, and then being able to make sure that you get a necessary protein because you gotta recover, but then also be able to have the other stuff too. And I wouldn't say go as far as tracking your calories, like like weighing everything. Like I don't think you need to do all that work, but just making sure you understand, like talk either if you can talk to a nutritionist, or go online, look up a bunch of stuff that maybe other athletes are looking for. I know Nike, they have a whole YouTube page where they talk about what do the athletes eat. Like, you still eat your favorite foods, like whatever you want to eat, but if you're Chad Ochocinco and be able to go to McDonald's and eat McDonald's every time, I mean, that brother different. But like for the 800, you gotta be able to have that lean body, but still that strength and muscle wise to be able to carry you through the race when it starts getting tough that last 150.
That's right. Did you know that Ocho Cinco took Viagra before games?
Hey, that's new news to me. That boy, hey, he wild. This man eat McDonald's, take Viagra. That brother different. So I'm like surprised, but not surprised because that brother, he different.
Oh, he is different. He kicked a field goal. I remember seeing that. He's funny. He's a funny guy. Cool. I was gonna ask. Yeah, you mentioned like runners, like depending on what you're racing, you got to watch what you eat. Well, it's just weird. Like you see like these professional runners, or at least these really good runners that are milers. Maybe a couple of them are Nick Simmons. He did the beer mile. I'm curious, like people when they train for like professional races or any sort of race, but they do beer miles. Like how do you train for both when they're very different from each other?
I think that's a whole different like sport. That's like a whole different level right there. I think obviously you got the power to be able to run that mile, but to be able to chug that beer, man, I think you just gotta work on being able to just open up your throat at that point, man. Like that's really what it is when it comes to the beer mile. Like being able to open up your throat, to be able to like shove as much beer down as you can. Cause for me, I can't do that. If I try to do a beer mile, I'm the slowest person that's getting done with that mile because I'm gonna take my time trying to get drink the beer because I can't do that. I'll drink a whole lot. At least when it comes to the beer mile, a lot of those runners do drink beer because it has a whole lot of carbs, calories, and carbs. Everybody knows carbs equals energy.
That's
You
true.
store up the carbs, and then when it gets time to when you gotta go run or work out, boom, you're able to use those carbs as energy as it burns in your body. So, um, yeah, I think to be honest, I don't even know how those people would be doing it. Like, I couldn't see myself doing it. I can do it. It's just I won't be as fast.
Oh yeah, I like to think that we're talking about how 60% of the 800 is anaerobic, and then 40% is aerobic. The beer mile, it's like 60% stomach, 40% running. You just gotta have a stomach to hold the beer.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. Because I can't have a stomach to be able to hold that much beer and run at the same time. Nah, I'm puking my guts out on the track, man. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not gonna do it.
I mean, someone that's done it plenty of times, I realized like it's me not being able to hold it. Like I'm not throwing up because I'm like not like sick. I'm throwing up because it's jiggling in my stomach so much, and it's just all right. You need to like let go of this right now. And my body's just saying, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing to us? Just stop." And then it just throws it up.
Honestly, it's that foam too. But I feel like that like sits in your stomach and just like yeah, it just irritates it, and your body just like, but stop. Like, what are you doing? Like, and so like just like yeah, your body just doesn't react well. I know my body doesn't react well. So yeah, so those people who do the beer mile and still be able to run professionally in track, hey, kudos to you, man. Because yeah, your brother right here can't do that.
Yeah, same here. I can't do either or. So true kudos to those people. Have you been watching the Olympics, particularly track?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Any noble performances you want to talk about?
Man, I have to talk about the 400 hurdles with them. Well, actually, honestly, both
Oh
men
yeah.
and women.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, Costa Warm, he just
Correct.
set a whole new standard when it
Oh
came to
yeah.
running. Like, he ran for those of you who don't know, Costa Warm, before the Olympics, he broke the world record over at his home country at a Diamond League event at Oslo, Norway. And yeah, he's a Norwegian athlete. He came onto the scene back in 2019, really 2017. Really think about it, because that's when he won gold at the World Championships in 2017. I didn't really know about him that well then, but then he started really running some crazier times in 2019. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, this year, so he broke the world record before coming into the Olympics, and so everybody's like, okay, we got the battle now. Ryan Benjamin against Carson Warholm. Ryan Benjamin, if you
Mhm.
don't know, is the American 400 meter well, not the record holder, because he is the second fastest American ever in history, Carson Warholm. And man, this brother ran Carson Warholm ran 45.9 over hurdles. Like, guys in college are struggling to be able to get to that time in the open for. This man ran it with hurdles, and then Ryan Benjamin right behind him. I think he ran 46.1.
Mhm.
Like
He beat.
these, they,
Didn't he beat Carson's previous world record?
yeah. So he beat
So,
Carson's previous world record, and now he owns the American record in the
oh yeah.
400 hurdles.
Wow, that's
So
crazy. That's crazy. And those guys were nowhere near them. That was great. And then did you see in the end, uh,
there was another
Carson?
person actually. He oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, he rips his jersey.
That's what I do. Well, this is why the brothers different. Most people, they have the pre-race routine where maybe they slap the legs a little bit. They get in the blocks, do a little, that type of thing. Like, they have the pre-race routine. This Costa Wilhelm screams to the top of his lungs, beats his chest like a Viking, and then gets into the blocks. By that time, I'm already like, my energy gone afterwards. I wasted doing that. And then he still goes out and does a 45.9. He set a whole new standard for track and field athletes, because, like, now he ran that, it's going to make other people need to step up their game as well. That's what we just saw. Rod Benjamin was able to run fast because of what Costin did. And honestly, Carson, the only reason why he ran that fast was because Ryan Benjamin was right there. I guarantee you, Carson would have slowed down if Ryan Benjamin wasn't right there with him, toe to toe, all the way through the line. And then you got Dos Santos, a Brazilian guy who just burst onto the scene this year. He may have been there last year or the year before. I have no idea, but I haven't really kept up with him. Like, he was that close to, and the previous world record I think was a 46.76, I believe, by the American. So he just ran, I think, underneath his world record from before. So it's like the game is changing at 400 hurdles, and so now it's gonna be interesting to see in the next coming years with new technology, with the Nike shoes. Adidas is now starting to come out with their new shoes. Puma is starting to come out with their new shoes. It's like, okay, what are the athletes going to step up and be able to do some crazy times like Carson just ran, and in the future. And I'm excited to see it, because I like to see what they're doing, and I think they really they're starting to put like a good dent into the track and field community. So
Oh yeah, I agree. Now let's talk about the women's race. What were your thoughts on that one?
Cindy McLaughlin does it again. For those of you who don't know about Cindy McLaughlin, She's
You,
a
you need to get
bad woman, man.
if you don't know who Cindy McLaughlin is, you need to leave your rock right now. She's definitely one of the most prolific, or at least the most notable young runners of our time. She's been to Olympics when she was 17, continues to just ball out. She's Kentucky, too easy. Balls out for pro, too easy. And then goes on and just breaks her, I think, her own record at the Olympic trials. I mean, at the Olympic Games. So it's just amazing to see her run.
Yeah, it's just like, man, she just continues to like amaze. Honestly, it's just like when she's gonna stop. It's really what it is. And I hope she doesn't stop either. Like she's still young. I think she's what, like 22 or something like that now. Like
Mm-hmm.
23. Like, man, I mean, Dylan Muhammad. I think she's almost 30. So it's like, and she's still running fast. I mean, I'm gonna give her credit too, because be able to continue her success, and she broke a world record back in 2019 before Sydney broke it again this year. Like both of them, it's just like that feedback that and that's the reason why I think that's the reason why they're running fast. And it was an incredible race. Sydney was behind coming 100 meters ago, so I was thinking, oh, is Delo gonna get it this time? But then Sydney was able to have that last minute kick, and she was able to get past Delo. So it's just like, I think without Delo Muhammad, Sydney wouldn't be able to run that time. And as I said with the men's hurdles, without Sydney McLaughlin, Dylan Muhammad probably wouldn't be able to run, or she would probably be able to run that eventually, but like it would be a lot harder because you don't have that one person who's pushing you, through the line.
And that's the beauty of the sport. People, competitors, rivals, they're going to make you want to be better, whether it's on the track or off the track. And you always see this, like these world records are broken because someone is right behind them, believe it or not.
So it's just like, yeah, like, I mean, that's why I think Carson Warholm's world record is going to go down as one of the best, at least right now, one of the best world records in history, because like, I mean, people are coming out with crazy statistics on like what that record means. Like they say, oh, this means he can run a 42-second like 400, or equivalent for the 800 is like a 139. It's just like that's what people are comparing these times to. So it's just like times that nobody in history have ever ran. So we continue to like go out there and keep breaking his world record, and I hope that little rivalry that going on, Ryan Benjamin and Carson Warholm, I need that to keep going for ages, man, because I love this, man. This gets me excited.
Oh, same here, same here. And it's just so crazy. Like, remember when people were talking about back in the day, like scientists have said breaking the 4-minute barrier was impossible. High school kids are doing it left and right, no problem. It's just this world record with Carson Warholm, 30 years, maybe 40 years later, it's going to be like the top. It's going to be like the top 20 time. Who knows? Like you just don't know. Like human feats get broken every year.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we don't know, especially with technology that's coming out with shoes. Like Nike, they came out with brand new technology when it came to the carbon fiber plate, and then later on, Puma and Adidas are probably gonna come out with a shoe that is gonna be maybe not using the same material, but something else that allows you to get like that helps runners be able to run faster than they are right now. And just like and honestly, I think it really becomes down to like the coaching and that type of aspect as well as combination with the shoes. Like obviously, shoes can only can help you out for so much. So, Carson Warholm's 45-second time. Like obviously, that's not gonna help you out. As you can see, Carson was wearing Pumas. Now he wasn't wearing the Nike carbon fibers, but his coach and his ability to train at the level that he's able to do and be able to get to that time is what really I think is evolutionized and what people are starting to understand the sport more. As obviously as a sport, you gotta understand what athletes need to go through, and then understand what you can put athletes through to be able to get to athletes communicating better. Coaches understand the game even better, and so now we're starting to see that with athletes be able to run fast at times. The coaches know what athletes can deal with and what they can train to get to a certain level. And obviously, it kind of helps when you got shoes like the Nikes and the Pumas, or what they're helping out as well and increasing technology.
Oh yeah, and science, coaching, everything is getting better. Athletes are just in general getting better. Even like athletes are like when they're like born to be better.
Yeah.
Like athletes are with longer legs, or even like swimmers. Michael Phelps, his torso is like 3/4 of his body. It's just evolution. It's science. It's everything. If you're not with the future, get with it now because it's coming and things are going to get way, way more interesting in the sports world.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna get way interesting in the sports world. You know, like yeah, that 45-9, shoot, give it 5 years, it's getting broken. You
Oh
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like either by Carson again, maybe even Rye, or shoot, who knows? Maybe it's Dos Santos, from Brazil. He ran a really good time. We don't know. Who's gonna be the next great 800 runner, and that's gonna be David Rudisha's time. We may see someone 800 break 130 140. Who knows? And then we always see in the women. Oh man, I think Mo, y'all gotta watch out for her,
Oh
man.
my.
She's breaking that American record, and I think eventually, if a trajectory keeps going, hey, I don't know, that world record may even be in threat. Not now, no, it's not coming now. I wouldn't say the world record is under threat right now. So I think when it comes to athletes and everything, things are just gonna keep getting better. Coaches are gonna understand the sport more. Technology is gonna continue growing as it will, and so with that, we start noticing that these times and like that's why the Olympic standards is trying to get faster. Before this Olympics, right, the 800 standard was a 145.6 or 145.8, I believe. It was around that range. Now it's a 145.2. Why? Because now coaches understand the game better. So it's just like step up your game. It's as simple as that. Like you got the resources, figure it out. Step up your game.
That's right. I mean, if ever he can get in, then the races won't be exciting.
Exactly.
Um, let's see, we got a little bit of time left. Do you want to talk with the 800 final? Did you get to watch that?
Yeah, I was able to watch that.
The men's side, I mean.
Yeah, on the men's side. Yep.
What are your
So
thoughts on it? I personally didn't get a chance to watch it. I'm going to review it, look at it before I go on my Olympic special because I have an Olympics week 2 special coming out this weekend.
okay.
So just before I start getting into it, what were your thoughts on it? I noticed like the times were kind of a little slower than I expected. What did you see?
Yeah, so when I watched it, I was for one, I was kind of like I was a little disappointed in the fact that they kind of went out slow in the first 400, and so they turned it into it's funny because it turned it into like the Kenyan trials. So if those of you who didn't watch Kenyan trials, which probably none of you did, but they went out, I guess in quote unquote pedestrian, and went out 55 seconds in Kenyan trials, and then they kicked it with a 50 point in the last lap, which was crazy. And then that's basically what just happened again here at like the Olympics. They didn't go out 55 that slow, but they went out 53, which every guy in that race is capable. And so with that, the guy in the lead, which was Emmanuel Korea, he took it out in 53. I mean, you can't do that. You got to realize this guy runs a 44 second to 400. So going out 53, which is 9 seconds slower, which really it was a 54 because it was like a 53 high, 53.8. Like that's slow to him. That's nothing. He had that kick and he was able to hammer it home. Rotich was able to come back, and that's why I think the reason why the Americans were able to get a medal is because Clayton Murphy didn't put himself in the best position, be able to get himself into that medal contention. We all know Clayton Murphy. That man, he has one heck of a kick. If you didn't watch the 2016 800-meter final, watch that. You see, this man came from way behind to outkick everybody. But that strategy works when you have a guy like David Rudisha in the race who's willing to take it out at a fast pace where everybody else starts to die, and then you have to pick off people. When it's a slower race, you got to position yourself higher up in the pack. So when it comes down to that kick, you're in a good spot to be able to outkick the runners ahead of you. What happened with him was he got boxed in initially when it came down to that first 200, pushed himself into the back, and then he started running to the outside lane 2 to try to get past people. You start racing more than what other people were doing, and the 800 really is an energy conservation race. If anything you need to know or get out of this interview about the 800, you got to understand energy conservation. So all you science people, you understand what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, look it up. Energy conservation, like basically you got to understand how much your body can take and be able to minimize. And so what Clay Murphy did, he wasted a lot of energy trying to go out the lane 2, even lane 3 sometimes, to be able to try to get around people. And when you do that, he didn't have that same kick down the home stretch because he was fighting too much and he didn't have enough energy. We knew he had to kick to be able to outkick a lot of people in that race. But when you run in lane 2 and everybody else running in lane 1, you can't do anything about it. You're running more than 800 meters. So yeah, being able to understand that, that's the reason why we didn't get a medal. And so at least as an American. And so for
Mm.
me, the 800-meter race, like I thought it was a little bit slow. I wanted to be a little bit faster, but tactically speaking, in Korea, hey, he did what he needed to do. He kind of sat in that second place position, and then when he needed to take the lead, he took it. And then Rotich, he does what he always does. That man, he knows how to outkick people too. He sat in lane 1 the whole time. When that gap opened up, boom, he took it. He just outkicked people down the home stretch like he normally does. So it was, technically speaking, the two Kenyan athletes, they did great. They did great. But for us, as you know, as an American, you want to put himself in a bad position.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like as you mentioned, energy conservation. Like if you're out, believe it or not, Clay Murphy, he ran more distance than his competitors because he's fine around moving. He's running in lane 2, especially on turns where you actually have more distance to cover going to the outside lanes. So yeah, that pretty much sums it. Like yeah, we mentioned that the 800 is a long distance sprint, but there's still some strategy involved, and you got to read the situation really well to put yourself in the best position to kind of execute your own strategy and get the gold. It's just I'm a little disappointed that Michael Cerrone didn't make it to the final, because when I think of Emmanuel Career, I think of Michael Cerrone, the two UTEP sensation 800 runners. Like those guys were so awesome to watch in college, and they were just pretty much competing against each other who was going to be the best of the best in college. Unfortunately, there's other great talent. It didn't work out for him, and unfortunately, it didn't work out for Bryce because he didn't make it to the final. But I'm glad that we were to at least get a good showdown to 800, even if it wasn't as fast as we wanted it to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always love watching the race. I love, even if it's tactical, like I love seeing that too, because then it really shows, okay, who's actually a great racer. Yeah, we all know everybody can go out 50, but when everybody's in the race and then everybody's able to have that final kick down the home stretch, being able to understand the race and be able to get yourself in the right position and be able to outkick everybody down the home stretch, that's when that real racing starts to kick in. And so, hey, kudos to Emmanuel Career and Ferguson Rotich. Hey, they figured it out and they're able to put themselves in the right position. They're able to go gold, silver for to give Kenya some extra medals, in the medal count. So kudos to them, and hey, it was a fun race to watch.
Do you know if Edward Kimboy went to the Kenyan trials?
I think he didn't participate this year because
Mm-hmm.
if for those of you who don't know about the Kenyan trials and everything, the Kenyan trials are probably one of the hardest trials to make when it comes to the 800 and up. Like, yeah, God, like, man, it's tough. And so basically, in order to make the trials, you had to hit the standard. That's literally what they only took athletes who hit the standard. So for Edward Kemboy, he was a really great runner, but the time that his 144 time that he ran was from 2018, and so that was outside the window of qualifications that he never was able to get that Olympic standard. Not that they don't have a trial standard. That's when it comes to Kenya, there's no trial standard unless you do a 400 or 200. When it comes to 800 and up, there's too many guys. They had too many heads in there that can run the Olympic standard, so that's all they had. So, but
Yeah.
Festus Lugot from Iowa State was able to go
Oh,
because he hit the standard.
that's good. That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. Unfortunately, we're short on time, but next time we're gonna talk outside of track. We'll get back on the show. We'll talk with some teams that you like to follow. Who do you like to follow?
Yeah, outside track. So I'm a big football guy. So Arizona Cardinals, that's my team, and then obviously got to root for Iowa State in college football. But next time we're definitely gonna talk about some topics outside of sports. Oh, outside of track and field.
Definitely, man. I definitely want to follow the Cardinals because they're looking pretty good this year. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm excited, man.
All right. To finish things off, I just want to say shout out to Iowa State.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, yep. Forever and true. We'll see them kick some ass. There you go.
Yes, sir.
He knew we subconsciously knew we're both going to wear an Iowa State shirt because that's where we met, and I'm glad we're still in touch. I'm glad to see that you're doing great. You're running fast. You're have a good start in your career. We'll have to meet up sometime. Hopefully when we get an opportunity to, but other than that, we'll definitely meet online again for another Zoom meeting or a podcast interview. So thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. To the viewers, thank you for watching this very informative interview with my good buddy, Roshon. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Every little bit helps. We will see you guys later.